Quickly shifting focus to our neighboring country now. This is breaking news coming in from Bangladesh. Bangladesh burns as protesters hit the streets. Awami League office razed in Rajshahi. Mob breaks barricades in Chittagong. Angry mob marches to Indian mission. This is alarming rise in anti-India sentiment. Protesters marched to the High Commission. Anti-India slogans shouted by protesters. Bring fugitive Hasina back demands raised. Parliamentary panel raises concern over the bilateral ties. Ties are at worst since 1971, viewers. This is what the parliamentary panel report has to say. Renewed protests where people are seen, mostly the youth, hitting the streets at Dhaka.
তাদেরকে ভুয়া ভুয়া স্লোগান দিচ্ছেন আমরা শুনতে পাচ্ছি আমরা যতটুকু দেখেছি পুলিশের দুটি বাধা ব্যারিকেড তারা ভেঙে ঠিক ভারতীয় সহকারী যে হাই কমিশন
These are the visuals, viewers, that we are bringing to you from December 18th, which is yesterday itself. Ashutosh, in fact, joining me on the broadcast. Ashutosh Mishra joining me on the broadcast with more details on this. Ashutosh, what are we learning today in terms of these protests that we see that's hit different pockets of Bangladesh? Renewed protests we are seeing hitting the streets. Demand remains to be the same. One being bring Hasina back, and the two we see destruction of Awami League property.
Well, it is not just only a protest. In fact, it's a violence. The whole nation is now burning, and this has come following the death report of Sharif Usman Hadi, one of the Inquilab Manch leader who was shot dead by assailants by an unknown shooters on 12th of December in a rally in Dhaka. Hadi was taken to Singapore for medical treatment, and last late night when he died, eventually the report that triggered across Bangladesh, fueling violence, large scale of properties are being set ablaze. In fact, many of these organizations, remember the Hadi Usman was also independent candidate from 8 parliamentary seat of Dhaka from the capital, and he was known for quite his aggressive statements against India when he also talked about greater Bangladesh, where he made certain parts of north claim, certain parts of northeast as part of Bangladesh. Clearly following the death report that triggered massive violence, the large scale of violence, Bangabandhu Muzaffar Rahman, the founding father of Bangladesh, his property were also damaged, set ablaze. Many media houses, their buildings were set ablaze, property were destroyed. So scale of violence that has triggered. In fact, the state morning has been announced by Chief Advisor from Jamaat-e-Islami to the Chief Advisor Dr. Yunus. Everyone is appealing people for a calm and peace, and this is going to be very disturbing. Remember, the code of conduct has already been imposed. 12th of February, Bangladesh is going for the referendum and of course the general elections voting. So it's just before 1.5 months of this. We are seeing the scale of violence, and clearly there is a lawlessness. The agencies, the police, the army, the armed forces, everyone remains totally ineffective to contain the scale of violence. In fact, this morning the high-level meeting has been called by Dr. Yunus with the agencies, with the security agencies, to analyze the current situation, ongoing situation of Bangladesh. But what it looks like that it is going totally out of control of the Bangladesh security apparatus. In fact, this morning we are expecting multiple protests, and if you remember, the day before yesterday there were protests held against Bangladesh High Commission. Even last night, the Assistant High Commission of India, that was also came under attack in Chittagong when the residents and the officers were stone-pelted by the mobsters. And all these elements and the organizations in Bangladesh clearly are going out of hand. There is no agency, there is totally lawlessness, and looks like the security apparatus has totally failed what is at the moment unfolding in Bangladesh. And this is going to be really difficult and critical time for our neighboring country.
Right, Ashutosh. Situation really seems to be volatile yet again in not just Dhaka, one would say, but different parts of Bangladesh, given recent assassination of Hadi, one of the leaders who had in fact taken up that very July protest in 2024 in Bangladesh. Ashutosh, thank you for bringing us those details. And viewers, this remains to be the situation at this given point in the aftermath of that very assassination. He was on life support in the hospital after being shot at on December 12th, but now it is on December 18th when he succumbed to his injuries. Post that, his supporters have hit the streets demanding for justice, some demanding for fugitive Sheikh Hasina to be brought back to Bangladesh. The unrest, the chaos has yet again erupted in the streets of Bangladesh is what we see. Bangladesh seems to be on the verge and on the edge yet again.